Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again, and it's the end of November. So, we're going to kind of talk about what's going on, see how everybody's doing. Hoping you guys can hear me. Let's see, people are starting to come in. Good. Um, Berlin, Kansas. Did I finally catch a stream? Yes, you did. I'm doing one on the weekend because I got a complaint that I never do them on the weekend. So, here we are. Um, so, basically, this month we've been working a lot on the second channel, and I know eventually y'all are going to get tired of hearing it before you see it, but that's what we've been doing. It's going pretty well. So we've got a couple on in the content library there already, so we'll be able to start publishing it and go live with the channel pretty soon, I hope. Hanover, Germany. Chicago. Oh, Saturday morning. Okay. And I've been learning a lot. The second channel is it's not public yet, but it's gonna have something to do with being on the road. A lot of what we're doing is on location stuff, and we've learned a lot. In fact, one of the first ones that we filmed since then, we bought a piece of equipment called a gimbal, which is this thing that keeps the camera steady at all times. And it makes such a difference that we're probably not going to use any of that footage and go back and shoot that whole video again. Because it really does. It makes a lot of difference. If you have any intention on producing any kind of content that is on the move or, in any way, shape, or form, dynamic, it's not on a tripod. They're cheap, but it's definitely worth the investment. It makes a huge difference in the output. How did your area reelect Matt Gaetz over a Navy vet? I don't know how they reelect Matt Gaetz, period, to be honest. But thank you, Karen Sheets. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. But it is what it is. Watch the Disney YouTubers, Bo. They know how to film on the move. Yeah, I've been learning so much about it. Like little things that I'd never thought of. My son's into cinematography, and he actually pointed out, he's like, you don't have to film stuff in the order that it's going to be in the final product, right? No, I actually hadn't considered that. Like I'm real new to that side of it, so it's definitely a learning experience for me. Let's see. Thank you, Ouija. Make sure to join the Discord. Lots of great folks. Yeah, I've been watching Ed's channel. It's doing really well. Doing really well. Thank you, Swirly Swirl. Recent thoughts on events in Iran. Yeah, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we should have known it was going to go downhill. Trump started saying that he had brought peace to the Middle East because he got a treaty signed between countries that weren't at war. But we should have known the second he started talking like that something was going to spin out of control, because it always does. I don't know what the response is going to be. I don't know where they're at. I don't know if they're willing to risk things getting hotter when they know they're going to change in a month, or 2 months. So let's see. Thank you, Joe Shalom. I'm on a no Trump weekend. Is it safe here? That depends on the questions. Thank you, RC Maverick. Thank you, Melanie Kirby. this up on my phone so I can scroll through the comments a little bit easier. There we go. I hope I missed anything already. Thank you, Annika Johnson. Thank you, David Garrick. My girlfriend still yells, "I love you, Bo," at the end of every video. However, as we're both geezers, I'm sure your wife isn't worried. Thank you, Kathy McDonald. My wife doesn't worry about much, so I think we'll be all right. Thank you, Environmental Coffee House. I will be watching and reporting on the APA, Department of Interior, and the Department of Energy. They're critical. Love your commentary. Thank you, John Longshore. Looking forward to reading your thoughts daily. Thank you, Ashley Sibyl. What do you think is going to happen in the runoff? The way things are shaping up, it looks like Republicans are going to step on each other's feet and cause division and infighting, and they may pay for it. So we'll see. I don't have a prediction on that one yet. Thank you, Trucy. Philadelphia appreciates your voice. Thanks. Thank you, Willem Dietrich. I'd love to hear your thoughts on China's Belt and Roads initiatives. If you have any, talk about direct action in the context of Americans. We will be talking about more direct stuff right after the election. And we'll actually be doing how-tos on some of it. As far as the Belt and Roads thing, if we're talking about all of the trade stuff that they're doing, trade is good. Trade is good. It depends on how much they tie this to other stuff when they're talking about the stuff they're doing with other countries. Thank you, Deborah Rader. And thank you, Anna Mazzarell. Thank you, Paul Gennardi. Just sent a bunch of money to Georgia Dems via Cogdis channel yesterday. Speaking of which, something happened here in Florida. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but it looks like there was a funeral and somebody was wearing a Black Lives Matter mask, and it escalated somehow, and that person got arrested. That person is trans, and there's going to be a GoFundMe set up for their legal stuff. In Florida, anything that happens at a religious service is a big deal. There's a reason like Westboro and those people never came down here. So they're probably going to need some pretty significant legal defense. They were a writer for the Center for Stateless Society. I will put the information out there when I get it. Thank you, Laura L. What are some of your news sources? I'm tired of relying on MSM. I tend to use the wire services like Reuters, AP, to get a good grasp on the facts and what's going on. And then I read pretty much anybody's opinion to get more information. And then you can always rely on trade magazines, stuff like that. I'm going to be doing a video on OSINT, open source intelligence, which is basically what everybody's asking when they ask this question. How do you take all the information that's available and turn it into something that is usable? Thank you, Ida Tomlinson. We had we had a yeah. Yesterday was an interesting chain of events as far as the recounts and everything goes. I mean, I do. Can you give a background of who you are? Yeah, I'll do that in a minute. Yesterday was an interesting thing as far as the recounts go. That was entertaining. The fact that Trump paid to add votes to Biden. Um, let's see. Thank you, Lawhoff. 2021 recession or depression. Lots of people needing food, no jobs to replace those lost in the service and retail industry. Well, in 2021, it would still be a recession. Could it become a depression? Yeah, it depends on how it's managed. We'll see. So we'll go for. I don't know. I would like to think that even if you don't agree with Biden's policies, you have to acknowledge that there are going to be policies. They're going to be stable, and businesses are going to have an easier time reacting to that, even if they dislike them, and they'll be more likely to compensate for whatever negative aspects they don't like about his policy or whatever, and maintain some kind of stability. We have to remember that this economic downturn started before the public health thing. Trump likes to blame it on that, but that's not what happened. Thank you, Pink Moon. Thank you, Dim Studios. Thoughts on how far militarization has come? I actually haven't read on where they're at right now, but given where they were at 18 months ago and the way where they were at 24 months ago, I can assume. Yeah, they are becoming little de facto states. They're becoming actual militaries down there. And they're organizing. In some cases, they have better intelligence services than a lot of nation states. So, I mean, if things don't happen soon on that front, they will probably become states of some kind. And I mean, the easiest way to do that is to remove the profit, make it legal. The money will still be there, the product will still be there, but the violence will likely go away, which is always a benefit. Thank you, A. Draconius. Do you think Republicans are going to abandon Trump after the Georgia runoffs? My sister's under the impression that that's the case. I think it's possible. I think they're really worried about protecting the majority right now, and they want those votes. But I don't know. To me, he didn't lose by a big enough landslide to teach the Republican Party a lesson. So I don't know. Keith Davies, diplomacy with Iran is screwed. The world isn't safe. No, Trump made the world a whole lot worse in a lot of ways. He did. But given Biden's past and the people that he's brought on as far as Iran, I'm hoping that they're going to be the adult in the room. I'm hoping that they are going to be the adult in the room, show restraint, and come back to the table once Biden's in office, rather than this escalating. Thank you, Jurgen. Would love to hear you tell. Would love to hear you tell folks how to help with phone banking to support Warnock and Ossoff in the Georgia state runoffs. I'm certain I don't have the information like I'm right in front of me, but there is certainly a way that you can call or you can find the information online, and you'll be able to call from your home. You'll be able to assist without being there, and that's something that you can definitely do, and you can do that from anywhere. Thank you, Mel M. Thank you, Unknown Valor. Do you expect Trump to keep the mantle of president after leaving the White House, declaring Biden a false president of the deep state? He'll probably try, but I mean, it's becoming laughable more and more and more so. So I there's a part of me that kind of hopes he does, simply for humor's sake, and simply for the simply for making him more relevant. The longer he clings to it, the more relevant he's going to become. Thank you, Sailing Prepper. Democrat, Republican, Trump, or Biden, two sides of the same coin. I mean, there's an element of truth to this, but at the same time, there are differences. There are actual tangible differences that make a difference in people's lives. So boiling it down that far is I don't know that it's helpful. In a lot of ways, it's true, but there are some major ones. Let's see. Thank you, Adim Sani. Why are there reports of record retail sales for holidays when actual jobs have gone away? Credit cards. It's probably not a good thing. I think Americans are banking on everything coming back now that Trump's gone. I think that's what they're banking on. And yeah. So we may have another debt issue coming back up yet again. Do you think the red wolf is done for? I'm not sure if you're talking about the animal or this is some reference I'm not getting. Thank you, Keith Davies. Thank you, Cambria Lane. For whatever calls you're about today. Thank you. This isn't the one for, we're going to be doing one again shortly for the shelter and getting holiday gifts and stuff like that for them and helping them get whatever it is they need. If that live stream comes up short, this live stream will also be for it too. This was kind of spur of the moment when somebody pointed out that I don't do them on the weekends. So I decided to do one on the weekend. Thank you, Dirty Bird. Thank you, John Whitson. Are there any Republicans who could compete with Trump for 2024 presidential race? I know people are worried about that. I'm not. 4 years from now, Trump is going to be even more, it's going to become more apparent, a lot of his failings, not just as far as the policy impacts, but also his personal ability to appear coherent in public. I think there's going to be 4 years is a long time at that age. So there may be visible downturns in his ability to do stuff. There's a ton of organizations calling canvassing voters in Georgia for the runoff election. That definitely sounds like something that I have to do a video on. John Espinoza, thank you. Embelica 76, thank you. Are toilet paper and paper towels running short where you are also? I don't know. About a month ago, I made a video saying that toilet paper and paper towels are going to run short. And when I made that video, I stocked up. So I have no idea. They probably are. And we're probably going to see shortages through the end of the year in various places at various times because production was down. And now we have the holidays. We were barely meeting production before. The supply chains are interrupted. Thank you, Dan L. Values. The progressives need to get after Pelosi. The rest of us need to keep McConnell accountable. That's not a bad strategy. I think the MEC can be redirected toward public health relief. Obvious different products, but with a delay, is there a reason politicians wouldn't want this? Generally, you don't want the military working domestically for just about anything. This would be, in my opinion, a valid exception. And I think that honestly, if they're going to be using the stuff that has to be frozen, they don't have a choice. The military is the only entity that has the logistics to do that. So if they're going to be using that one, it's a moot point. They don't have an option. FedEx will not be able to handle it. Do you know if the reclassification of federal jobs can be rescinded once Trump leaves office? Anything done with an executive order can be sent away with an executive order. Most of Trump's stuff, because he didn't actually get legislation passed, it's going to be gone quick. It's not going to be hard to undo a lot of his policies because he never went through the process to make them permanent. Thank you, John Vandermeer. Thank you, NC. Is MeWe a right-wing anti-LGBTQ propaganda? I don't know. Haven't been on it in a long time. A lot of those newer social media sites, they get overtaken by the right pretty quickly as they get banned from other platforms. So maybe. What do you think about Hong Kong's protest and China's genocide of the Hong Kong people? I mean, it's bad. No. That's one of those things that we've probably lost. That the end result of that geopolitically, it's unlikely that in any of those situations where the United States blinked, will ever be able to regain the initiative. Those locations are going to probably become part of China as a whole and be viewed that way. We're not going to view anything as a separate entity anymore. That was lost. That was lost. And that's one of those things that I don't think the Biden team is going to be able to fix. If Trump runs in, oh no. If Trump runs in 2024, will corporate Dems use that to push back the progressives? No clue. No clue. I don't really think he's going to run, to be honest, but we'll see. Or I don't think he'll have a chance. Let's see. Thank you, Benjamin Noble. Much love from Kentucky. Sorry about my call. Yeah, we were like elected Gates down here, so I yeah. I feel you. Thank you, Intimate Connections. Should the Flynn pardon be challenged legally? They really can't. I know there's a lot of people talking about that, and they're saying that it's not just. At the end of the day, the president's power to pardon is absolute. There is nothing realistic that can be done about that. They'd have to find completely separate charges that are not related to the first in any way, shape, or form. The president's pardon power is just, it's immense. There's no way that I know of for it to be challenged. Not even ineffectively. Like, I don't even know of a mechanism to challenge it. Thank you, Timothy Ball. Thank you, Brian Dorashuk. Okay. Thank you, A. Draconius. Could Trump even have the ability to run depending on what happens once the New York State court's done with him? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that could limit the president's ability to seek another term in 2024. Not just his age and health, not just his mental abilities, but he has a lot of pending litigation that even if it doesn't outright prohibit him, let's say he beats all of this stuff, it may also impact his base, because I think there's going to be a lot of things publicly disclosed that they're probably not going to like. Um, Thoughts on the geopolitical situation growing with lithium deposits near in Sonora, Mexico? I don't know about that specifically. I don't know about that this specifically, but I can tell you that if you have that kind of deposit, if you have that kind of natural resources available, you're going to have a whole bunch of competing interests, and a lot of them down there are armed. So that's without knowing exactly what's going on, I imagine that that's going to go bad. That's going to get very loud because that's a lot of money, and in an area that, when it comes to money, there's also arms. Thoughts on Ukraine offering citizenship to Americans? That's a common thing that's gone on for a lot of countries over the years. I I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that was a contractor or consultant that's like, oh, I want a Ukrainian passport. So I don't know if it's going to attract a lot of professionals, but it might bring in enough. It might bring in enough people who want the adventure, who want the experience. I know that sounds weird, but they exist. Um, or those people who are just fed up with the U.S. And there's a lot of those. So I as far as the ethics of it, it's a really common thing. People have done it for a long time. Um, and I just don't know how effective it's going to be because it's Ukraine. Do you think it's possible to get a third party headed up by progressives and independents before 2024? Yes, I do. And what's your thoughts on getting rid of the electoral colleges ASAP? That's probably not going to happen. Not before 2024, but getting a progressive party, yeah, it's completely possible. It's about whether or not they want to put in the ground game, put in the work for the ground game. Okay, I think I'm missing some stuff here. Thank you for everything you do. I'm enjoying Ed. Yeah, Ed's great. Ed is great. And now that his channel is monetized, he's actually, I guess they're using that money to get like fuel oil and stuff for the people in his community. It's fantastic. Like that makes me really happy, to be honest. Thank you, lack of gravitas. Thank you, family tuned. Okay, that's the one I just read. Okay, good. I'm caught up, I think. Khalil Google staffers, a verdict of guilty for the treason and bribery surrounding Trump's actions in support of ZTE would see all of Trump's acts, orders, and appointments rescinded by Tain. I mean, theoretically, that's how it would work, but we'll see. Again, most of his stuff Biden can undo day one with a pen stroke because he didn't go through Congress. There's nothing that he did with an executive order. None of his policy changes that he made are permanent unless they went through Congress. Those executive orders mean nothing. They can be undone immediately. Newfie Bullet, thank you. Greetings from Newfoundland. Do you think the Republicans double down on a Trump-like cult of personality in 2024? Yes, I do. I don't know that it's going to be Trump, but I definitely think they're going to double down on a Trump-like person because they didn't learn their lesson. They didn't lose big enough. Does this four-party system make sense? Progressive, Democrat, Republican, nationalist? I mean, that I think if you got to that, you'd end up with even more, which I don't see that as a bad thing. So thank you, Josh Aronoff. Devin Nunez is Cal's brother. Thank you. When are you and Ben Dixon doing your Star Trek crossover, or was no that was yeah. I'm totally down to do that. My guess is, given schedules, that's probably going to be after the holidays. I mean, it's possible we could get it done in December. We haven't actually laid out any details, but I'm very down to do that. I've actually, like, I didn't watch those as a kid. I didn't watch them until I was an adult. And an editor was like, "You should really watch these." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. No, not interested." And then I did, just out of, insomnia. And it, it was pretty entertaining. And yeah, that's actually something I'm kind of looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to trying to get Bailey Sarin. She's agreed in principle to come on and talk about her research stuff and how she does it. The problem is, I asked her in October, which, she runs, I mean, she does the makeup channel, but the big win there is her true crime stuff. And Halloween's like a big month for her, that's like, and then the next month was the election. So I didn't have time. So I'm hoping we can do that soon. Let's see, Ida Cooties. If Prez pardon powers are limitless, he is then above the law. Anyone can then pay for a pardon. Yeah, that's why it's important to elect people with some kind of integrity. There really isn't a check on the president's pardon power other than being able to pardon himself. I mean, that's really the only one. And that's kind of implied. That's not even explicitly stated. They could argue that. The Clear Channel coach, riddle me this: why would a president need to pardon himself if he committed no crimes, and how can even his cult leadership defend this? Well, I didn't do anything wrong. This is just a formality to make sure that the deep state Dems don't arrest me. That's how he'd sell it, and they'd believe it. JJ Ford, Poor Soul Studios, thank you. What do you think about the People's Party as a viable third-party progressive? When it comes to third parties, the main thing is actually getting the ground game. That's what matters. And I feel bad because I had I want to say it was a libertarian, reach out here in Florida and ask, about that. I should probably do a video on it. One of the big things about being, if you're wanting to assert a new organization like that, is that you have to keep people interested in it. It can't be once every 4 years or once every 2 years. There has to be stuff going on all the time. That takes two things: one, constant activity, and two, you got to do some fundraising. You're going to need money, because you're going to have to create events that people want to go to, so they remember this party, so they get familiar with it. Thank you, Captain Farrow. Good to meet you. Regarding handling, what do you think about how New Zealand has handled it? New Zealand's done a pretty great job as far as managing the public health thing down there. I don't know that we'd be able to do that in the United States. I'm not known for giving Trump a pass on anything, but I don't know that we could do that because of the way Americans are. We probably would not have been compliant with that. I think it's great. And with the amount of leadership she showed down there, lots of lives saved because of her and her policies. I don't know that even if he had tried, he would have been able to do that here. Thank you, Truth Warrior. Can't think of a question. Just wanted to say thank you from all of us for your voice. Oh, wait. How many t-shirts do you own? A lot. And we have a lot more coming out. We're going to be releasing more in the Teespring store. Can we really have viable third parties without getting rid of winner take all elections, ranked choice voting? Ranked choice voting would make it a whole lot easier. Ideally, one of the things that would have to happen is for people on opposite ends of the spectrum to work together. Because if you simultaneously built a strong conservative third party and a strong liberal third party, you would end up with 4 parties, and people would be more likely to use them because they would feel the other vote as being split as well. Let's see. Todd. Thank you, Todd. Do you think Republicans will block qualified Biden cabinets just to see his administration struggle? Maybe. I don't see it. I don't put it past them. I don't think it's incredibly likely because I think they're going to have enough. I don't think they're going to want to waste their political capital on that. You know, a president deserves a cabinet. And now Trump has set the precedent of just making people acting forever. So just go that route. They in a lot of ways they have injured their own abilities. Thank you, EAWRB. What Truth Warrior said. Let's see. Kalel, Google staffers. Acts, orders, and appointments include SCOTUS and the federal bench. Yeah, I mean, I understand the theory. I don't know that it would work out that way practically. We'd have to see. Cottage Rose 58. But yeah, I mean, that's in theory, that's the way it's supposed to work. Whether or not it does, that's something else. There's a whole lot of logistics involved in that I don't know that the federal government really even wants to do. Thank you, Cocky Joe TM. Election warned us. I can't read. It's not showing up. Okay. Hello from Georgia. These are the sites for Georgia Senate runoff. Thanks for all you do. Sadly, for some reason, there's no links. That may explain what I see on my end. There's no links there. Thank you, T-Zone 434. So now, so I put out a tweet earlier. Thank you, Jason Merrill, asking for questions from Twitter. If I don't get to them during this, I'll do the same thing I did last time. I haven't looked at any of them yet, so you'll still get an off-the-cuff answer and just hit record on the camera, and it'll be like a second live stream later out in the shop. Do you think Israel would be acting aggressive if Biden was in office right now? No, not. Well, let me rephrase that. Not to the same degree. Again, we don't. There's a lot of things at play there that we don't know. I find it unlikely that what it would take to kind of justify that occurred, but it's not out of the question. So as far as whether or not that was right or wrong politically for Israel, I'm going to withhold judgment because I don't know enough. But I do think that whole dynamic, it will change once Biden is in office. Thank you, Sean Kelly. Thank you, Karen Sheets. Shout out to all the Amazon workers striking across the globe. Yeah, I really wish they would get their stuff together. I really wish Amazon would get their stuff together. Do you think that systemic racism is an issue? Yeah, of course. If you do, then what can we do to fix it? And do you think Biden will change it? No, I do not think Biden will change it. It's going to have to be done with us. It's systemic. It's not something that one person can address alone. They can help, they can encourage, they can lead the way, but it's going to take a whole lot of people. We have to change the way people think, not just the legislation. And it's a long fight. So did you see the video from Destiny's initial meetup? He got like 50 to 100 people to show up in Georgia to discuss how they'd be canvassing for Dems. I did not see that. How are the actions of Trump and some how are they not sedition? In some ways they probably are. It depends on how they want to push it, and that gets determined by who wins. I think that if when it's all said and done, if Biden takes office, when Biden takes office, then it could be pursued in that manner, but it can't be while he's in office, while Trump's still in office. Pardons used to keep people quiet may be illegal. They should be. I don't know that there's any, when you're talking about at the federal level, when you're talking about with the president, I don't know that there's anything that would rescind the pardon. It might implicate the president in a crime, but I don't know that it would actually impact the pardon itself. The Constitution's like real clear on this one, and there's not much that anybody else has to say about it. But now, if the president offered something of value from his public office or her public office in exchange for something that personally benefited her or him, that would be a crime. So it may be illegal, but it wouldn't invalidate the pardon itself, more than likely. Okay. Thank you, Tony Sparks. Hi, I'm a teenager from Iran. I love politics and follow American politics closely. Your channel is great, by the way. What do you think could happen with the whole Iran situation in Biden's term? I think that there would be a marked improvement for Iran. I think they would come back to the table. The deal that got shattered, I think they would work very hard to reinstitute it. And Iran would be in a better bargaining position at that point. So as much as Trump talked about putting America first, he did it without any strategy, which made it weaker in a lot of ways. A Biden administration would benefit peace and stability in that region, which benefits Iran. So if I was Iranian, I would be doing everything I could to keep tensions calm or keep everybody calm until Biden arrives. In fact, some of the people who he has brought in to key positions in what looks to be his State Department are the people who got the first deal. So I don't, and given the fact that it was working, I don't think they're going to change course. I think they're just going to be irritated with their predecessors because they have to go and redo it. Thank you, Bad Pirate Monkey. Thank you, Keith Davies. Thanks for answering Ali. I was just about to highlight it. Just luck of the draw. I just happened to see that one. Thank you, Gabriel Bukowski. Thank you, Jack Deckard. What's up with Rick Scott being elected over and over? I heard his company was involved in the largest fraud of the Medicare system in its history. It's down here. It's Florida. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. In regards to Rick Scott, it's called Florida. Yeah. We've turned corruption into the state sport down here. It's I'm going to create a YouTube channel dedicated to discussing politics in Denmark. That's not on my list of stuff to do right now. Now, I don't know what's up with Scott. I don't know what's up with Gates. I don't know how we end up with the politicians we do. I think that the Republicans are We need to recount the votes. Thank you, Matu. Um, thanks for being a spokesman for just genuine people. Thank you, Kathy G. You think Biden will sign the Korean deal? Okay. I think because the door's been opened, because Trump opened the door, I think it's more likely that you're going to get high level negotiations between the US and Korea because it's already happened. There's not going to be a stigma against doing it because it's already been done. Granted, it didn't work for Trump, but that was one of the few decisions he made on the foreign policy side of things that I thought was a good move. Granted, it didn't work because he wasn't up to the task. But the idea behind opening high level negotiations between Korea and the United States, I think it's a good idea. And I would hope that Biden's State Department follows through with that. And I think that we can become, I think we can get a lot further along with that. Didn't you post a video a few months about some lesser thought of reasons? Yes. I was actually in the car. I don't know what headline you're talking about, but now I have to go look because I may do a follow-up video. Yeah, I definitely see that as something that's happening right now. There is so much research, and we're probably doing it to other countries right now. We would be derelict in our duties if we were not doing the exact same thing, because there's a whole lot that can be learned about research right now. So I am certain that every opposition country is watching how we do things, and we're doing it to other people. Thank you, Jennifer Perlman. How do we get the man baby Trumpists to have the epiphany that pardoning Julian Assange is the ultimate to the Dem establishment? I don't know. You probably just have to. Well, actually, you could probably do it, because I'm assuming this is Jen Perlman, the one I know. You're part of the radical left. You could actually probably push that out there and just basically beg him not to do it. And make it. Can you believe that Trump's doing this? He's going to destroy the radical left by doing this, blah, 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 blah. And he'd probably do it just to spite you because that's who he is. Thank you, Linda Sobel. Thank you, Julie Crabble. Have you read the book White Too Long? I have not. Thank you, Tamara Christian. Will Biden be able to help our Kurdish friends? Probably not. I think that's done. I don't know that that's. I don't know that that's. I don't know it's realistic that we're going to be able to reconnect on that level. I mean, let me rephrase that. They may help, but I don't think it's going to become the level of cooperation that it was before. Exalted. What strategy do Democrats need to adopt for the midterms? Also, what direction do Republicans need to go in to be successful? I don't know. I don't. We're going to have to see the reactions to the first few months of the Biden administration and see how people react. I'm hoping that progressives push the Biden administration incredibly, push them further, which means the midterms, those candidates would need to go left, but I don't know. Thank you, known liberal. Do you think that a competent business leader can make a good president? It's possible if they have skill sets other than just being a business leader. Um, it's not the country isn't a business, and it's not the military. There I don't. There's an idea that we need a general or we need a business leader. I don't know that either that's true. I would like to see more scientists, historians, people like that, more so than generals and millionaires. Um, Thank you, James. It seems that both parties are split right now. Do you think progressives would split from Dems or Trumpers split from the GOP? If so, which is most likely? Um, it all depends on the candidates. There's so many variables on this kind of stuff because you're talking about 2 or 4 years out. It depends on what candidates end up on what tickets. Um, I think that there would have been a split very likely right now, except for the fact that a whole lot of progressives, a whole lot of people who are far left were like, you know what? I will set that aside to help get Trump out of office. And there's somebody that kept repeating a question down below. That might have something to do with the perception there. There was a lot of people willing to cooperate with people they normally wouldn't just to get rid of Trump. Thank you, Keith Davies. Helping the Kurds no strings is still the right thing to do. Absolutely, it is. It's almost owed, some would say, like me. Jack Deckard, thank you. Hey, Bo, not sure if Trump can pardon Junior for possible crimes before they indicted him. I don't know. Again, I don't think there's any restriction on it. It certainly wouldn't be ethical, but I don't know that there's a law against it. Thank you, Vicky P. Thank you, Torches and Pitchforks. Why does it feel like we are living through the People Against the Wall? Because we kind of are. Thank you, Dan L. Values. Trump may quid pro quo pardons with rich prisoners. Yeah, that's completely possible. Yeah. Thank you, Inge Lindholm. Thank you, Silent Trimmer. Giraffes, yes or no? Giraffes are awesome. Like horses that can see further. I don't know what that question is really about, but let's see. Thank you, Tony Sparks. Did you tire out of winning so much? Oh, I did. I'm telling you, I cannot wait until I never have to type, let's talk about Trump and again. Like, I cannot wait for that to happen. I am so done with this guy. Like, do you think we have a chance of winning in the Georgia runoffs? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a lot closer than people are expecting, and I think the infighting that's currently occurring in the Republican Party may really damage them. So, Antonio Miller, can we get an update on Armenia, everything else in the world that Trump has overshadowed? You know what? That might be a really good idea. It might be okay. It might. I may put out one. It'll probably be titled something really vague soon, like "Let's talk about foreign policy," where I just run through all of the stuff that's going on and just kind of catch everybody up, because we've all kind of, well, I don't know if we've all, but I have certainly been watching the domestic stuff. Thank you, Google staffers. Horses that can see further and won't run you under a branch. Diggy's dad What's up with Florida's ghost candidates? Do both parties do this? Probably. I mean, down here, yeah. The only place, Louisiana, other than Florida, it's Louisiana. These are the only two places that are like this. It's just normal down here. You just come to expect it. Let's see, Robert F. Jobin. With 95% effective and 70% effective, which do you think were likely to get in large numbers? I don't know. Then that's something we. It depends on how they plan on doing the logistics on it. That's really what it boils down to. I think more than likely they'll open it up. They'll probably push whichever one the U.S. government put the most funding behind. But I think they'll all be available, and it will end up with being decided by individual hospitals and doctors as to which one they're going to end up using. Because I don't foresee, the Trump promise of everybody being able to get it super fast. That's probably not going to happen. At the end of the day, that's probably not going to happen. You leftists love to change the rules. Well, yeah, that's what progressives do. They try to make things better. Douglas Miles, thank you. Thoughts on Trump pulling out of the Open Sky Treaty? The only thing I want to, I did a whole bunch of videos about this when they set it all in motion and explained that it was just a gift to Putin. One thing I do want to comment on, because it's one of those things that the media is putting out there in a very scary manner. The aircraft that we're dumping, that doesn't really affect readiness. Those were specific to flying over and looking at stuff. Surveillance is not early warning. And they've made it, a couple of outlets kind of made it sound like without these aircraft, we would be vulnerable. That's not the case. I think that's the one thing that needs to be corrected up front. Let's see. Thank you, Kimberly Stoutmeister. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Help us get through this trying time. It's helpful for me too. Without you guys, I'm just some disgruntled old dude yelling at himself in his shed. Neela Ripard. Thank you, Neela. Which of Biden cabinet picks are you most pleased with? And that's a trick question. I don't know that I'm really pleased with any of them. They could be worse. My actual views are so far removed from mainstream politics in the U.S. in general. So there are some that I'm happy with the reforms that they're making, but they're still not what I want. I love the team that he has put together to handle asylum, because it's not one person though. It's because these people are going to be coordinating and they're going to be operating under the cabinet level people. Those are the ones that are getting all the press. But he has a team of people that he has brought together to specifically handle asylum related issues. They're going to be working under Secretary of DHS and Secretary of State. And that's an impressive crew. And I think they're actually going to do a whole lot of good. It's one of the few that I have hope for. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. David Servillo, can you make a playlist of vids for anti-gun libs? Let's talk about guns and gun control. There is a playlist. It's on the channel. We put that one together already. That's one that we could actually just use the footage from that, cut up, and turn into a 4-hour documentary. There's a lot of a lot of videos on that. Greg Lawless, disgruntled old dude yelling at himself in his shed. That's how my wife describes me. Thank you, Jack Deckard. I'm concerned about the Democrats' focus on climate change and the Green New Deal. It doesn't affect most on a daily basis, but I believe. I don't think we have time. I think the I think at this point it's a matter of necessity. I don't. I think that they're starting to realize that we do not have time to wait. It doesn't matter if it's the most politically expedient thing to do. It's the right thing to do now. We have to act on this. So that's one of those things that it's going to take political capital to get that pushed through, but we have to do it. We are running out of time to deal with that issue. Thank you, Drama Mama. Thanks for keeping me company at work. Here is the money from my first delivery with DoorDash. And they should be happy with that because you just gave them advertisement. DoorDash. Let's see. Why does the left refuse to build a bridge with military and veterans of all people that don't war? That's a conversation we have had multiple times. I've reached out to quite a few left pundits and commentators and been like, what are you doing? These are the people we need. And I actually had a conversation last night with a vet who I was trying to get help me with something local, help me with a local project. And it's probably going to turn into a video, so I'm going to stop talking. But I think I may have identified one reason why progressive and left vets don't get as active as they should. Thank you, Desiree. What are some good history books that give a wider perspective of American history that are not centered on only making America look good? Okay, so there's the obvious answers like Lies My Teacher Told Me, Howard Zinn stuff. There's also another option. Get a British or Canadian history book, like a textbook, because they don't have the propaganda interests. They have different ones. But you can use those, and it's not going to showcase America as always doing the right thing, because we didn't. That's a good way to do it, and to get around the issue that you run into a lot of times. If it's titled Lies My Teacher Told Me or whatever, a lot of people are very resistant to it because it's revisionist history, even though we're supposed to revise history. They don't understand that. If it's a textbook and it's in English, they may not even realize it's from another country, and it becomes very useful in conversation. Thank you, Daniel Ashford. Thank you, 7 Miles Project. Do you think Rachel Maddow's concern is? No, it's definitely warranted. This was a bad move. Now, I don't know what Rachel Maddow's concerns about open skies are specifically, but yes, it was a bad move. I just wanted to clarify that one piece of information about the aircraft, because that's scary. The idea that we have been left completely exposed, it's not true, and that's something that's scaring people. And right now, there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of things to actually be scared about. I don't think that we should just be adding stuff without reason. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Sightseer 1965. Your posts have helped me through some sleepless nights this year specifically. Thanks for sharing your perspective. It's helped. Thank you. Yeah. Withdrawing from open skies was a bad move. We talked about it, I don't know, a year ago, maybe, when he first mentioned that he was going to do it. I'm like, this is a horrible idea. It's not what we should do, and outlined all of the reasons it was bad then. Now it's just official. that it's occurred. This really happened a year ago. Look at it that way. At the end of the day, this actually ended a year ago. It, there weren't any. There hasn't been any huge fallout. It's bad from a foreign policy standpoint. It's bad from a weapons proliferation standpoint. But I don't know that. I don't think that it should be scaring people. We have a lot of other stuff going on right now that is a more immediate need. Okay, so we are just over an hour into this. What's the story of my political journey? It's a mess. I don't know. I know that that's a thing right now. People are doing, like, YouTubers are doing like origin stories on like how they came to be. Um, I don't know. I Yeah, I'll think about that one. I may put out a video like that. Have you read Heather Cox Richardson's Nightly Letters from an American Political Historian in Real Time? I haven't, but that sounds utterly fascinating. um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That sounds cool. As a political YouTuber, what is your superpower? I don't need to sleep. Uh, the mystery is an asset. I kind of think that in some ways because I'll tell you what, and it also would ruin one of my, like, hobbies, I guess you could call it. Um, I love reading the conspiracy theories about me, like, because there are some good ones out there. It's actually one of the more interesting things that I've found is that since there isn't a lot of information about certain periods, people just make stuff up. And I will tell you that the stories that are made up are always cooler than what really happened. Um, Thank you, Sunny Days. Do you think the improved means of a Nordic model or welfare state system would make revolution easier due to lack of economic consequences, being fired for protesting? Also, opinion on root beer. I like root beer. I go back and forth about this because, my ideological standpoint at the end of the day, I want to eliminate uh, reliance on government in pretty much every form, all forms. So the idea of going through something that increases it to get to that, it seems counterintuitive. But after watching some of the studies involving UBI, I don't know that it is counterintuitive. I mean, it is counterintuitive, but I don't know that it's wrong. That may be the easiest way to get there. Thank you, Keith Davies. See you later. The Dan Rather of YouTube. Wow, that's a pretty big compliment. Silver Harlow. Jack Deckard, worry not. The dim focus on Green New Deal is demolishing it, and the progressives who support it. Man, some of y'all are so cynical. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're just cynical. Thank you, Tony Sparks. Do you think it is time we standardize the U.S. education system? We currently have tribes such as PragerU. So they've launched a response to PragerU. I think it's called Gravel or something like that. It still needs some help, but they're trying. I don't know that federalizing education is the answer. Leftist military vet here. It's hard to talk about leftist ideas to military vets because of the specter of socialism. Right. Okay. So here's the thing. And I'm not going to get into what I found out last night, but the way I've always been able to cross this bridge is, why does the military have universal health care? Because it makes everybody more efficient. Do we not want the country to be as efficient as possible? Lets people focus on the mission. Why is Why is housing guaranteed? Why is there housing assistance? Why is food guaranteed? Why do you have all of this stuff? Because it lets you focus on the mission. And that tends to work. It tends to wake them up. But yeah, you can never use the S word. You can't say socialism. Um, but yeah, that's a real issue. But I've found something else with people that are already on the left, who at the end of the day, you went over 3 times and you're done. You you feel like you've done your part. And that's I'm gonna make a video about that now. I'm convinced of it. Um, Someone was discussing how to move social democrats leftward. My answer: achieve social democracy. Right? I mean, that's one way to do it. um, make a comic book series on the conspiracy theories. I had to reach out to the guy from Bounce because I imagine he'd have fun with that. uh, Thank you, Emily S. Okay, and I think I just lost somebody's. Oh, man, I hate it when that happens. Will you make a video about some of the conspiracy theories about you? I want to hear them. That may be something I do at some point as a joke. I don't know. Maybe weave them all together. but but I will tell you, by those things, I have been employed by more intelligence agencies than anybody. It's amazing some of the stuff that's out there. Uh, Thank you, Pharaoh. Do you know anything about or have any opinions on the formation of the People's Party as a major third party? It can be, as long as they don't stop. That's the thing. When it comes to third parties, they start during an election cycle and then they stop. You can't do that. You have to keep going, and it's going to be hard right now because of the gathering issues. Because we're not supposed to be gathering in large groups. What is your opinion on incels? I have a video about that. I actually think it's like, let's talk about SEALs and incels. Someone was discussing how to move social democrats. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I have to get some videos recorded. Play yourself in the TV show about the conspiracies about you. Thank you, Bruce. And I'm glad you're on the web too. Okay, so I have to get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out here with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Or today. It's daytime. Yeah, it's so weird doing this. And okay. All right, so let's see. In practice, many aspects of the military are, yeah, they are. They absolutely are. Do you have a favorite stand-up comedian? I actually like Trey Crowder, Drew Morgan. Yeah, that's completely stereotypical. I mean, you probably could have seen that coming. But yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.